Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Marion County Espresso TV. I'm your host, Steve Woodhouse, and joining me today, fresh from his trip to Costa Rica, is Central College softball coach George Wares. Welcome, George.
Thank you. It's good to be on here and tell you a little bit about our trip.
Absolutely. And when did you go on the trip?
We left Friday the 3rd of January, and we arrived late that night. And basically had all day Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I had a partial day Thursday, flew back Thursday. So about 6 days total.
What was the name of the community you visited?
Well, we flew into San Jose, and that's where we stayed the first 2 days, and then we actually went to a kind of a resort on the beach for the latter part, and then came back to San Jose and did some things there before we flew out of the airport the following day. And
so what was the purpose of the trip this year?
A lot of things. I mean, the NCAA allows this once every 4 years. And obviously you wanted a little bit of softball, but we knew going down that wasn't going to be the main emphasis because, quite frankly, they're in the beginning stages. And we did play a couple games against some of their softball federation teams and put on a clinic for them. And they're still relatively weak, but we knew that, but we got to get outside, right? And then the team building, to be able to, and every one of our players plus a manager, so we took 30 women total in addition to 4 of our coaches. And so the bonding and being able to get some time together before we actually start our season. And then we did quite a bit of community service. We did a free clinic for the people that we played against, and the appreciation that we received from them was phenomenal. And the language barrier was a little bit of an issue, but we did have a translator. And when you start talking softball and demonstrate, the language kind of takes care of itself. And then we did the last full day we were there. We went back into San Jose and went into an underprivileged part of the city and did community service at a school. That was ranging in age from 5 to 14, and that was an eye-opener for our players as well, to be able to spend some time with them, and the appreciation that they and their teachers showed was phenomenal.
And so were you able to kind of like see that team building going on as you were going through? I mean, you said that was one of the goals, can just see the progress being made? Yeah,
for sure. And, Coach O'Brien, she gave rooming assignments, and we didn't put people together that would normally be together, obviously regular roommates. And, if we thought one person maybe wasn't connecting as much with the other person, they became roommates. And a little bit we did by position, and nobody complained, at least not to our faces, and nobody changed rooms. So I think they got along well. And yeah, just seeing them interact with each other, that's a big part of success in any sport. And I think it makes it a lot easier now they've had that time together.
So did you really keep score in those games you were playing against the home teams there, or was it just all in fun?
We kept score, but let's just say they got out of hand, and then there was a point where, through the translator, they asked if we took 4 pitchers and 4 catchers, so they asked if some of our pitchers could throw for them and catch for them, and that's what we eventually did, which was good for us because that way all of our pitchers got quite a few innings, and the same thing for our catchers.
And so as far as the clinics, is that normally a part of the trips? Like you said, you take one every 4 years. Is that normally part of your trips?
Well, we don't take one every 4 years. The NCAA allows it every 4 years. And we for sure wanted to do something besides softball. We could have gone to other places where it would have been more competitive and probably 75% softball. And once we went, we were definitely going to do something from a community service standpoint. And that was a lot easier to fundraise money for the trip. When we told people that were giving money, that it's not just a softball team, going on the beach and playing softball. We were going to do some other things. And when we go on a spring trip, to Tucson or wherever we go, we always try to do a community service project on our day off, if not 2. So
what kinds of medicine did you administer at these clinics? Or
I'm sorry?
Was it like a medical clinic, or was it like a softball clinic?
No, it was all softball. And the players ranged from 11 to 30. And none of them, or very few of them, spoke English. And so that was fun. And then there are 3 coaches of the federation team. They really had a lot of questions. And so we were trying to answer questions as coaches through a translator. And it was kind of fun to see the expressions on their faces as we gave them some information that we think will help them better their own program.
And so what was it like for your players? I mean, had most of them been traveled internationally before, or was this a first for some of them?
One person had not flown before, and we had, I think, maybe just a handful, 2 or 3 that had actually been international. A couple of our players took advantage of the study abroad here at Central and went to Greece last year. But for the most part, it was new to them, and the whole custom thing, immigration and passports, and so it was a unique situation. And again, our guides both spoke English. Our bus drivers did not, so we had some ability to make sure that everybody understood what we were saying, and vice versa. But when you walk around, it was pretty much all Spanish, and I was happy for our players to see that. And then in San Jose, the last day when we were driving to the school, it was raining, and it's like every other big city. There were people on the streets, laying on the streets in the rain with no place to go. So I thought that was a unique experience for our players to see something like that as well, and maybe be a little more grateful for what we have, not just the ability to play softball, but a lot of other things that we have that other people do not.
And so did you leave any equipment behind for the players, donations?
We actually donated some cash to the school, extra cash that we had, we had some parents that went and raised some money. And then the equipment, we have quite a bit, but we're going to send that back. So we did not have enough with us. So we actually already are making arrangements to send some of our equipment back to their softball federation.
And so how did you arrange this? I mean, were you in contact with somebody down there, or how did Central come?
Yeah, we just talk, it's beyond sports. Somebody gave us the name, and they've done different groups. First time they've done a softball group, especially with this many people. And then Coach O'Brien and Jill Fay, the wife of one of our other assistants, they kind of started the process. And we've been talking for a year, and, we knew the total cost was going to be, counting a flight, around $2,600. And we were able to raise, for our players, the parents paid their own, coaches paid their own, but for our players, we were able to raise $30,000, so we were able to take $1,000 off of everybody. So still a $1,600 chunk for each player that went.
And so what were did you guys have a chance to talk about, the experiences, and were the players sharing what were the highlights for them?
Yeah, and we'll talk more about that, obviously, when we meet, but we met a couple times before we flew back, and I think just seeing something different, and then most of them, when I asked them what was their most memorable experience, they didn't necessarily mention surfing lesson or zip lining, across the jungle area, but they mentioned the clinic and they mentioned the school that they went to and things like that. So I think just seeing the real part of Costa Rica versus the tourist part of Costa Rica.
Yeah, I had a friend that went to Costa Rica many years ago. He described it as one of the most beautiful countries he's ever seen. Is it still that way?
It's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, you just every time you drive somewhere, you want to make sure you stay awake, even when you have a 4-hour bus ride, because you're seeing something unique. When the place we stayed, the middle part of the trip, you go to breakfast and there are monkeys, they're all over the place. And so, we went across the bridge called the Crocodile Bridge, and you walk across it and you look down and there are just mammoth-sized crocodiles. So yeah, things you just aren't going to see, obviously, in the United States.
And you said NCAA lets you do this every 4 years. I know it's still awfully early, but do you have any plans to make any more big trips like this?
Yeah, now that we've done it, I think we're more likely. You're always hesitant the first time, but we got a lot of good messages from people that had used this organization. But we know it's costly, so this year we're not flying to Arizona. We're going to Kentucky to play our spring trip and driving instead. So we're trying to save a little bit of money in that sense. But yeah, we would definitely consider it again. If you ask our players, they'd probably be ready to go back next year, even though the NCAA would not allow that.
So your spring trip to Kentucky then, what's that going to entail? Do you have tournaments down there?
Yeah, we'll start practice in a week, and then we'll play first a pretty big tournament in St. Louis, February 28th, and then March 1, 2 are the days. And we'll play 6 games, weather permitting, obviously, but it is on a turf field, at least the first 4. And then we go to Transylvania University, which is in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and they are hosting a tournament, like 24 teams total, so we'll play 8 games in a matter of 5 days that we're down there.
And so what about for you, seeing these girls bond and get these kind of experience, does that give you any kind of joy in seeing, these young people that you're mentoring, have this extra life lesson?
Oh, well, sure. And you hope you can provide a lot of things besides just, success on the softball field. And sometimes you just kind of sit back and, they saw a 70-year-old coach go upside down on a zip line, and flying in, and that probably got, is he going to make it or not? And, just seeing their faces when they're doing things that they normally would not be able to do gives you a lot of pleasure. And selfishly, we think it helps us win games, because it does connect you, and then you can handle some of the ups and downs of a pretty strenuous athletic season that we always have.
And of course, like you say, the practice starts in a week, and the season doesn't really end until June.
Hopefully June, first week in June. Yeah.
You guys been working on much on the off season, or other than before the trip?
Yeah, and that's I think what I'm not going to speak to other teams 'cause I don't know, but what makes us unique, I think, is that you can't win in softball, or in my opinion, any sport, just during the 2.5 hours of practice, whether it's the fall or whether it's the spring. It comes down to extra time, and you don't have to do it, but if you don't do it, you're probably not going to have the success that this program normally has, and our players have been pretty committed to that. I think the last couple of years, they've got a taste of just not quite through the national tournament, but regional and super regional, and their goal is to hopefully take that a step further this year.
Absolutely, we're all hoping for that.
That'd be fun.
Is there anything more you want to add about the trip that you'd really like the folks to know, and especially those who supported the girls that made the trip, or young ladies, excuse me?
Yeah, well, I just appreciate all those that did support, whether it's support just messages that they sent or the financial support, because obviously you can't do without that. And then I would just encourage everybody, if you ever get an opportunity to do something like that, do it, because I'm a big believer you only get so many chances, and you've got a chance to experience something that's unique. I think it helps you in terms of just having fun, but it also helps you when you come back appreciate some of the things that you do have.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for doing it. I hope we can do this somewhere down the road and talking about going to a national tournament or something.
I hope so too. We'll definitely be in touch for.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
Thanks again. Thank you all for joining us.